let go, but you can't take no more.
What's going on, y'all? Mic Geniuz, and welcome to the interview. Today we have Tae Leon. Is it Tae Leon or Tae Leon? Because
It's Tae Leon. I feel like everybody's trying to do this Tae Leon thing. I don't know where it's coming
it
from.
might be Leon.
I guess, but it's Tae Leon. But we can rock with Tae Leon, but it's really Tae Leon.
Tae Leon is in the building.
Yeah,
We are going to get into some things, your life, and of
Yeah.
course your music.
absolutely.
You just released a new single called Too Good.
Yeah.
On all streaming platforms. Independent or
Independent, absolutely.
all independent?
All independent, no backing from major labels, all me.
And how's that been?
It's been tough. It's been tough, but it's been a journey. I think what it has done, it has allowed me to trust myself, right? Trust myself in the gift that I have and the art that I'm trying to share and the story that I'm trying to tell. And it gives me the autonomy to tell it in my own way, and in a way that's authentic to who I am and who I am becoming. So yeah, it's been good.
We're going to get into that. I'm excited to talk to you. First of all, I appreciate you calling me to, assist with telling your story.
Absolutely.
I know you have fans already. You named your hive yet?
I haven't, but we talked about this off camera. You kind of gave me
You have a different name, though.
but it still kind of works. It could work.
Don't tell them.
We're not.
We'll
keep this top secret.
But Tae Leon, you went by Martavius
Yes.
before.
Yes.
You dropped a EP called Concrete Bloom.
Yeah.
So now you're Tae Leon. And what's the difference between Martavius? Because that's your
That's
name.
my God-given name. Yeah, that's my God-given name. The name that my sister decided to convince my mama to give me.
Oh, she named.
But I think so. The difference between Martavius and Tae Leon. So for those who know me outside of the music, outside of artistry, people know Martavius as the happy-go-lucky boy next door, very talkative, loquacious businessman, all these different things, right? But Tae Leon is still who I am, right? It's an extension of who I am, but I think it's a more mysterious, it's a more bold, it's a more intimate version of who I am, a side that people don't really usually get to see. And so I think in how I'm kind of evolving and growing, I really wanted to show people that in my music and in my artistry. And so that's why Tae Leon really is where I've kind of decided to go in terms of the artist name. And if you think about some of the greats, you think about the Marvin Gayes, you think about, the Al Greens, they all had, two names. So I was like, why not? Why not try Tae Leon?
Okay. So you mentioned it a little bit.
Yeah.
So we could see that in the music. So from Concrete Boom to this new single Too Good and the music that's coming, what's the sound? What's the difference with the sound?
The sound is, obviously very still true to what R&B really is, the vocals, the harmonies. There's a mix of gospel in there. There's some R&B, but there's also this electronic sound, this kind of progressive sound that I'm really trying to go for, because I think, as music is changing, music is evolving, we want to stay obviously relevant to the times, but we also want to, or at least I want, my music to still kind of remind you of, the music that we grew up on, right? Again, the Al Greens, the Marvin Gayes, the Ushers, and you have some artists out there now that are still doing it, but I want to be a part of kind of helping to push that sound forward. So
yeah, because they're saying that R&B is dead, and they're saying that there's no presence with the male R&B.
Yeah.
How you feel about that? Are you coming to take that?
I mean, I'm coming to be a part of it. I'm coming to take the crown. But at the end of the day, I don't want to, shit on anybody else that's out here doing it, right? Like, there are a lot of great people out here doing it, but I'm definitely going to be one of the ones to kind of help, kind of push that forward and, make some moves in this space. So.
You talking tough.
We gonna see.
People gonna be like, okay, let me see.
Of course.
But I love the single. We're gonna get into the single because I think you are coming. The
Appreciate it.
single was crazy. But I want to start from the beginning. Who Martavius was before we got here for Tae Leon. You are from Georgia. What part again?
Thomaston, Georgia. It is a small town outside of.
Is that on the map?
It's on the map.
How far is it from Atlanta?
It's like an hour and a half south of Atlanta.
So do you say Thomaston or you say you from
I
Atlanta?
say Thomaston. I always say Thomaston. Absolutely. Because I feel like, and I think that's even kind of going back to the name thing. I think that's a part of who I am, right? If I abandon my roots and if I abandon who I am, that strips me of my authenticity, and it strips me of who I am and the identity that I have. But yeah, so from a small town, I grew up. I'm the youngest of 5.
Okay.
Basically, my whole family sings. My whole family was in music. grandchild of a pastor, right? So I grew up in church. So a lot of the influence that I had was in gospel music, and specifically Southern quartet gospel music, which is a very specific type of gospel music. So if you think Canton spirituals, you think that type of music. And so I think that's where I really learned kind of the foundation of what singing is, singing with passion, singing with conviction, and singing on key. Most important.
It was a great teacher, as in practice. Who was your inspirations growing up? Of course, we said the church, and you said your whole family sing. But who was you watching on TV or?
It was a few people because I grew up in a very Christian home, but I really got my influences from some of the music that my sister and my brother were both listening to. Right, so my sister was listening to your SWVs, your Ushers, while my brother was listening to Pastor Troy.
Yeah,
and balance. So it's a balance, right? And so I think I kind of take my inspiration from all of those different types of sounds and all those things that kind of remind me of home and remind me of what some could say was a simpler time, but also a great time in music as well. So
I'm here for that. You went to Morehouse?
Yeah.
That's
Morehouse.
I graduated. Y'all go mad hard for y'all college. So y'all go crazy. I want to know how life and music besides going to college and being independent, that whole experience, how did it affect you as an artist?
Yeah.
Did you sing and all that in school too? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a part of a worship team in college. I didn't really do a lot of like solo singing, I guess, because and I think it's and just being very vulnerable and transparent here, right? I think coming from a small town, you are typically, I won't call it the token, but you're kind of the creme de la creme, right?
Okay.
You are, especially because, again, my granddad was a pastor. Everybody knew who my family. So everybody knew, oh, Martavius, that's Reverend King's grandson. That's Shirley's son who can sing, blah, 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 blah. But when you get to Atlanta, you get to a place like Morehouse, there are a number of Martaviuses out there, right?
Yeah.
And so for a little bit, I got to a point where I didn't really want to sing like that because it was a bit intimidating, right? It was a bit of a space where it was like, why do it? Because there are a million of other people out here that are doing it just like me, just as well as me, or at least I thought just like me, or better than me. And so I think that space was a time where I kind of took a step back from music, at least pursuing my own music, and just kind of stuck with what I do in terms of church. But I think I eventually got out of it. And I think New York kind of was a way to really kind of help with that. So
yeah, speaking of New York, now they call it a transplant. When you're from New York, you are a transplant of Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem, USA, which is just a monster in its own self. You know what I mean? And so being from Thomas, Georgia, then going to Atlanta, low key, I feel like Atlanta prepared you for this move. But
most definitely.
How has Harlem been for you? How has New York City been for Martavius?
Yeah. So first off, I'll say, a bunch of people always ask me, especially from back home, you in New York, it's so big. You sure you sure you want to be there? It's so much. But I think, they say that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And I really, really do believe that. I think, to your point, Atlanta did really prepare me for coming to New York. And I was actually really shocked at how comfortable New York became, or I got in New York rather. I was able to build community really quickly. I was able to really find people who were able to pour into me and really inspire me. And honestly, being in New York is really what kind of gave me the courage to pursue this music really full time and really take a risk on myself, right? Because I think when you're in spaces where, or when you're in a mindset where you feel like you can't, sometimes you just need that extra push. You need that person that's sitting right beside you, that's doing it, that's showing you that, okay, that's possible, right? And then you put your own spin to it. You put your own pizzazz to it. And again, I've been fortunate enough to be able to, get around the city, meet new people outside of the network that I came here with. And so that really kind of, again, propelled me to say, okay, I really can make this happen. So New York has been a blessing. It's been a blessing. It's been tough, but it's been a blessing.
Yeah, the toughness has built you though.
Yeah.
If you are from the New York City area, Harlem. You might have seen him at the Stoop session, which is going by everybody. People hit me up, yo, I'm coming to you. I'm gonna be what's it?
Oh, absolutely.
So the Stoop sessions, open mics,
Mm-hmm.
where I met you at.
Yeah.
You still in church? You still
Absolutely.
a worship leader in church? Though if you are in the New York area, you might have seen him around. But right now, he is Tae Leon. Don't be, you know what I mean? Separate the two.
That's what me to keep it. Don't get it twisted.
But okay, so now we get into being a solo artist again, because you said Morehouse kind of was fading in the back, not fading in the back, but taking the back.
Yeah.
And now you are solo.
Yeah.
What made you want to finally spread your wings and be solo?
I think what made me take that risk and try it was really the pandemic. Or prior to the pandemic, right? Like I had been in a space where I was going through a lot and I wanted to express it and have some outlet to express it. Whether that was in the conventional means in which I had been trying really weren't working, right? And so through therapy and all different things, my therapist was like, hey, you should just try, you into music, just try writing it out. And in me writing out my thoughts and my feelings, I was like, I can just turn these into songs. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that is feeling these things. And then the pandemic hit. And so now you're inside, you have nothing else to do but be with yourself, right? And so I one day went online, found a random beat, took a journal entry that I had and just wrote a song out of it, right? And put it to music to see what happened. And that ended up turning into one of the songs off of Concrete Bloom. And so once I started that was kind of the propeller that I needed to say, now keep going. And then I look up and I had 10 songs written and I was like, wow, let's try to put this into a project and put it out. And it wasn't anything that was premeditated. It was just like, let's just try it. Let's just see what happens. And people vibe with it, they vibe with it. They don't. But I like it. So it's all that matters right now. And so luckily people end up liking it. So yeah.
You mentioned therapy, which is trendy right now. You know what I mean? But I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
People need to start saying that they're in therapy.
Mm-hmm. And normalizing it. Yeah.
Making sure it's okay. Making sure that you let people know that it's okay, that you're in there, not ashamed of it. How was your mental health? You mentioned the pandemic. How was your mental health from that moment? Your therapist said write about it. Then the pandemic happened, which could have took a whole nother turn, and you made it on the other side of that, as we all did. That's here right now. How did your music change, I guess, during the pandemic with your mental health and everything?
Yeah. I think my music changed through the pandemic. It became more expressive. I think it became more emotional. I think prior to that moment, I think we often can disassociate our feelings from the reality of what's actually happening. And I think through the therapy and through that through that intentional exercise, I was able to connect more with what I was saying and kind of feel it real time and be able to kind of express that to other people. And even recognize it in other people, right? And be able to have the words to say when I saw my brother, struggling or in some way, I can say, hey man, I've been there, and not just say it because that's what you need to hear, but say it because I really feel that from a genuine place. And so I think that translating that into music, I want to be able to express the things that I'm feeling, express the things that I think a lot of people are feeling. And then when they hear what I'm saying, they hear how I'm layering my vocals or how I'm expressing it creatively, it touches them in a way that they can really resonate with.
3 things I like when in an artist is authenticity. I like that you have intention. I could tell when somebody has intention. Mm-hmm. And I could tell when it's purposeful.
Yeah.
And I love lyrics. So let's get into this. So I'm listening to the song and it's a vibe. Appreciate it. It's very smooth. It's very grown and sexy. We could say that.
Yeah.
And I know you a church boy. You know what I'm saying? So have your family heard the song yet?
They have.
Okay, and what do they think? What are they talking about?
They actually haven't told me exactly how they feel about it, but I mean, I think my mom would probably say, "Oh my baby, oh my God, what are you talking about?" But honestly, I think they rock with it, and I think they understand what I'm doing. So, I actually have to ask them. I kind of am curious now because they haven't really said exactly, but yeah.
I want to know the story behind it before we get into the lyrics. What's the story behind Writing Too Good? Where it come from, and why did you choose that as your first single?
All right, so I asked the second question first. So I chose it as my first single because I think it was a good representation of where I am now, but it still kind of was a nod at my old EP, right? So it kind of was a good building block from that and really kind of still keeping the sound, but in a more mature way, in a more intentional way. And I just wanted to release something a little bit more sexy. You know, it's around cuffing season, so I'm like, people need, the streets need something for cuffing season. So that was one of the reasons. But then in terms, and what was it? Remember the first question?
With the story behind
The story behind the songs. The story behind the song, honestly, if you heard it, I think you can probably kind of figure it out a little bit. Definitely wanted to talk about intimacy in a real way, and in a way that wasn't so raunchy and vulgar, right? In a way that
had
was
taste.
that had taste, that was a bit more expressive and had some storytelling element behind it. Because I do think there are different ways that you can interpret a lot of the lyrics, right? And I think I was very intentional around crafting it and writing it in a way that you could take your own experience and put yourself in that experience and put yourself in that space.
You said, it's right here. Tell me what it feels like. My touch makes a promise. Your sigh tells the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I was like, wow. Because I know for me, I don't know about everybody else, but I turn my headphones on. It could be lights off and just lay in the bed, and I'll get lost in the song. And this is one of them songs you can get lost into. So I know what that meant, and I've been there before. So what did that come from? You know what I mean?
I think so. One of my love languages is physical touch.
Okay.
And so I think one thing about physical touch is it's not just you touching someone just to touch. There's an intentionality behind it, right? And I think when you touch someone and you bring someone into your space, into your orbit, there's a security that can kind of happen.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
And I think when you bring them in, that's that security. And the sigh is that sigh of relief, that place of being safe or feeling like I can exhale, I can be myself in this space. So that's what it was for me. And so I think that's really why I wanted to kind of,
Okay, then you said, because your body's being pulled into something new.
Mm-hmm.
And all I see on you are shades of blue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get lost in the moment. Everything fades from view. First of all, I was like, rap. First of all, I was like, that's bars. You better write. But explain that, because I like I said, I get it, especially that first line, because your body's being pulled into something new. Everybody has not experienced intimacy.
Right.
Like they probably, did what they did, but
Mm-hmm.
they haven't experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that line. Is that what you were talking about?
Absolutely. It was really about trying to express that, for some people, truly being intimate with somebody and truly sharing space with somebody is something that is foreign, right? And I think until you've experienced that, you don't really know what that feels like. And then when you feel it, you want it again, right? So that's why, again, as you kind of go on into the song, that's why it says too good to let go, because you're not gonna, it's like that first high you get.
Yeah.
Once you have it, it's like, I want to keep having it. I want to keep chasing that same feeling. So
who did you collaborate with for this song? Did you write and produce it yourself, or did you have a producer?
Yeah, so I did have a producer. So shout out to Caleb Faulkner, who helped produce it. So go check him out. I wrote everything, so all the vocals, all the songwriting was on me. And then my sound and my mixing and mastering engineer was Sham Tracks. So shout out to those two guys. They really helped me pull that together.
Tae Leon in the studio, is the lights off and candles lit? Nobody in the studio be out? Or what was the vibe recording this song? Or what's the vibe when you in the studio?
Well, this one was me at my house in the dark. So very much that candles lit, I was like listening to some old records and some old vinyls or whatever. And then I was like, I'm kind of in the mood to write. And so that's really what it was. But usually if I'm in the studio, definitely want it to be a cozy atmosphere, an atmosphere that feels like home, that feels warm and inviting. So that's really that's how I like to write.
Okay.
Get in the mood,
Is the an EP coming? Is an album coming?
Oh, there's some more coming. Absolutely.
Are we on this sensual, grown and sexy vibe?
Oh, absolutely.
All the records are.
There's gonna be some sensuality expressed in everything that I'm doing, right? But you're gonna get some, some slow ballads. You're gonna get some mid tempo, some up tempos, but everything is going to be sensual, expressive, authentic, emotional. in everything that I'm doing. So at least for this project, at least. So yeah, so you're gonna get a little bit of everything in there, but it's gonna definitely still have the core of that sensuality and that duality in the records.
Can we look forward to that like soon, or when is that coming?
Yeah, we got some
Next
stuff
year?
coming. You got some stuff coming. You know, I don't want to give away too much, but you know, there, you know, just be patient. All right, not too patient. Not gonna give September, spring, summer. You're not gonna get any of that, but it's coming soon. It's coming soon. So just be on the lookout.
So Martavius to Tae Leon,
Mm-hmm.
Thomasville, Thomas Stan,
Yeah.
Thomas Stan. Shout out to Thomas Stan. Put them on the map. Put them on the absolutely, absolutely. Thomaston, Georgia, Morehouse Church, just a grown man. It's giving grown man. What is your genius?
Mm.
When they look at Tae Leon in the future, or you leave a legacy, you drop 10 albums, about to retire, doing your last show at Madison Square Garden over that hit Barclays, whatever. What do you feel like your genius was?
Mm. I think my genius will always be that I was always ever evolving, and I was authentic in how I was doing it, right? And I was able to express where I was in that moment and leave it all out on the floor, right? I think too often do we meet people at a certain space and expect them to stay that way, right? But the more I continue to live, the more I continue to experience, and the more I continue to be honest with where I am in those moments, the better my music is going to become, the more intentional the stories I'll be telling will become. And you'll see the evolution. You'll be able to look back and say, wow, I feel like I really know Martavius, or I feel like I know Tae Leon through how I've seen him show up in these spaces, in these stages of life. And I think that hopefully will empower and inspire other people to live out whatever their genius is, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be in front of a camera. It doesn't have to necessarily be in front of and singing on a mic, but it could be you at your corporate job, right? And I hope that, you know, whatever I'm showing or whatever I'm doing really does inspire people to really, you know, be authentically who they are. Yeah, because that's the superpower. It's always the superpower.
That's the superpower. Listen, I'm Mic Geniuz. This is Tae Leon. Too Good is everywhere, streaming everywhere. The EP, the album is coming. I see you got Outkast on your shirt. Representing Georgia. I know. Always keep Georgia. Let's rep that.
Absolutely.
And anything else you want to say to the people that's supporting you, the people that listen to the song, the people that follow you and even probably, you know, follow people don't even know they sing. Yeah, right. For the people that's just discovering you,
Yeah.
What do you have to say to them?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your support, whether big or small. It what keeps me going. It what keeps me encouraged. And continue to just support independent music and independent artists. Because it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And you gotta be really tapped in and really, really focused, laser focused on the goal. And so if you see me out, give me a word of encouragement. Say, hey, I hear you. Keep doing that. But again, you know, for those who have continued to do that already and are always doing that, I appreciate that.
And we thank y'all for y'all support. And songs be 99 cents, y'all. Y'all got none. Literally, just support. It goes a long way. Anyway, again, Mic Geniuz, Tae Leon. This has been The Interview. It was good talking to you. Good talking to you.
But you can't take no more.